on becoming more than man. No one tells you what it will feel like when you become a god. No one warns you how strange it will seem. Understandable. How many souls have ever done it, so that they can recount the experience? You were raised to believe that figure was zero because you were raised to believe there were no gods, another of your father's infinite lies. No, let's be fair to him. That's what he believed. He spent millennia believing he was a lonely king in a godless universe. His realm was empty. It was void and without form. There were no higher powers behind the sky, no omniscient beings dwelling beyond the architecture of the star fields. He was alone, the only being of significant potency in an otherwise mechanical cosmology. He was powerful, the most powerful thing in existence, but he was no god and he knew it, and he knew there were no gods to be found anywhere. There was no fate, no destiny, no purpose, no structure, no plan. The universe was merely a state of materia that had once upon a time begun and which would one day end. And between those 2 points there was no meaning or sense. So he made sense for himself. There was no one else to do the job. A self-appointed demiurge, he took on the aspect of a god and engineered a fate and a destiny, and most certainly a plan. He imposed a meaning. He must have presumed along the way that such a feat would make him a god by default, or turn him into one. It didn't. You believe he probably thought it had, though. You can see that now. All those years of insisting he was just a man. All those edicts denying his divinity. That's just what a man who thought he was a god would believe that a god would do. What is that phrase again? Mercedes will know it. Methinks he doth protest too much. Too much indeed. The affected, self-effacing modesty of the truly arrogant. He thought humility and denial would make people more eager to believe in his divine nature, kneel at his throne, quake at his gaze, take his word for everything. Your father has no idea what it's really like. How could he? You didn't either until this. You're not sure what you are. Perhaps you're a god now. Perhaps not. You're certainly not just a man anymore. You've woken from a state of confusion to find yourself changed. Unearthly power fills you to the brim. If you're not a god, then you are well on the way to becoming one. Perhaps this is the state of transition, slow and strange as you transform from a man into something more. It is not how you imagined it, or how anyone could imagine it. It is beyond mortal knowing. There is simply before, and there is afterwards. Before you were Horus Lupercal, beloved and triumphant, and now you are this. It is not entirely pleasant or comfortable. When time permits, you will sit down with the Remembrancer and tell her all about it. It is rare knowledge, unique. It is worth recording. The state change, where mortal embodiment starts to fade and ascension begins. Whether you are a god already, or simply in the process of becoming one, you can no longer quite define your edges and limits, the span of your physicality or the breadth of your senses. It almost makes you want to weep, because you are no longer what you were, and you can never go back. It's hard to even remember what you were like before this happened. You are glad Mamselle Mercedes wrote it all down. You can go and read your own history and be reminded of the man you used to be. She's not here. You'll send Malachus to find her. But he is not here either. The fitters and the attentive squads of senior officers have gone. Even the vast host of word-bearers who assembled to sing your name have departed. You think, perhaps, they all fled in terror at the sight of you when you started to transfigure into this higher form. No one's here, apart from you and the things that whisper your name. The Lupercal court is dark. The light hurts your eyes. You see better in the void. The darkness soothes your mind. This is a period of adjustment. You must be allowed time to come to terms with what is happening to you. How long must that be? You realize? That's up to you. The thought makes you chuckle. You answer to no one. You need no one's permission for anything. If you want time to adjust, then so be it. You grant it to yourself. There's so much to get used to. You dreamed of power, and now you have it. It's disconcerting. You wonder where everyone is. Then, again, the disconcertion. You realize you know. Because you know everything. There's no one here because you sent them away. You gave the command, and now your faithful followers, your sons and warriors, are spread out across the ship to execute the trap you meticulously devised. Because the false ones have arrived, enticed by the bait you set. Unable to resist, your enemies have boarded the flagship and entered the realm of the vengeful spirit on a final and desperate mission to vanquish you and win this war. They will fail, of course. You've already decided that, too. Your trap is inescapable and your victory certain. Their efforts, which to them seem so brave, are merely the last spasms and twitches of an animal in its death throes. They are the prey, and you are the wolf. Your jaws clamped around their throats, waiting patiently for the last shudders of life to cease. In the distance, very faintly, you can hear the sounds of violence echoing through the ship. Your enemies are beginning to die, one by one. But they don't have to. Death is not the only option. They can make a choice. You have, in your benevolent grace, prepared gifts for each of them. Each gift fashioned by one of the 4 powers of your ascendancy. The gifts are temptations, invitations, offerings. You will not be a cruel god. If they accept your gifts, they can join with you and become one with you. If they spurn your gifts, well then, vengeance is yours. Everything is ready. Your guests approach, the false ones, the false 4. Not the old 4, who are sublimely blended into the vessel of your soul, but the 4 new fools who have demanded to meet you face to face. Constantine, your siblings, Rogel and Sanguinius. Your father. Here they come.
This video is sponsored by my OnlyFans, where I do my meaningful sex educational content, fitness, health, nutrition, relationship advice, and more.